Welcome back to the Macro Golf Podcast, back with another episode for you guys. And today we're talking about putting all of the stuff that we've mentioned on previous podcasts together to actually show you how this stuff can help lower your handicap. So we're not just talking about the physical benefits of, how good you're going to feel, how good you're going to look, and how free you're going to be in your body. Now we're actually talking about shooting lower scores and actually putting this stuff onto performance and actually basically reducing your handicap and shooting better scores. So we're going to go through 5 ways that we believe that becoming golf fit can help reduce your handicap and how this stuff can actually help you shoot lower scores.
Absolutely. Really excited about this one because it's kind of a little bit less away from the science of training and the methodology of macro and things, but more focused on how is it actually applicable to our clients, to our golfers who want to shoot better scores, because that's what we all want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think what's interesting for this is I kind of ask the same thing when someone comes in. Like, every time I speak to a new client, I want to say, like, do you have golf lessons or do you whatever? And one of the questions I will ask them is, what difference is that having to your scoring? Because for most people, they're going to enjoy the game more if they're shooting low scores.
Yeah,
That is kind of
absolutely.
what we're trying to do, right? And a lot of the time when people come and see us, they might have an issue with pain or an issue with restriction, or they might also want to lose a bit of weight and get a little bit stronger for things away from the golf course. But ultimately, they also want to improve their golf, and that is one of the big driving factors of them starting to adopt some new habits. And whether you're having lessons, whether you're buying new equipment, whether you're going to the driving range, or whether you're starting to work on your golf fitness, ultimately you probably want to shoot lower scores, right, and reduce handicap. And
Yeah,
that's what we're
absolutely.
going to go after today.
Yeah. Right. So should we get started? Number one.
Let's just dive straight in. Sam, what's
Let's go
number one?
straight in. So this is probably what I'd say is most important, and as a coach, it's what we're kind of in control of most. I would say, with getting clients started with a fitness journey, it's just the ability to play more, to play and practice more. Um, Typically, a lot of new clients will come in, especially this time of year when it's the longest part of the year, weather's lovely. They just physically can't handle practicing, playing day to day, training on top of it. So something ends up giving. Um, or it's potentially the chance that they've played, they're going to play again the next day. They're sore, they're tired, so everything's off, timing's off, not hitting the ball as far. It's something that as fitness coaches we're massively in control of, is getting you used to playing and practicing more. I think it's one thing that's I've seen the most, probably. Like, I know I don't want to touch on the other ones yet, but I think I've seen that's the biggest factor in clients reducing their handicaps.
Yeah, I think like it's like being able to manage the load, right? Like managing your life load of like being able to practice, play, train, do all these things. And I've definitely had conversations with clients before where they've said, they're even not even play Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
Like they can only play golf Saturdays and Sundays because they work all week and they might be able to practice once, but they can't play Saturday or Sunday. They would love to be able to, but they can't because after playing on Saturday, their body
shuts
aches,
down.
it hurts, and they just can't play Sunday. Or they could play, but they'd be taking painkillers and struggling around, and it's not
Yeah,
enjoyable for them. So I agree. I've definitely seen a big transformation in the conditioning of people and their resilience to the task of playing golf, literally just
yeah,
walking around a golf course and swinging the club however many times, and becoming fitter, becoming stronger, becoming more mobile, and in general being a better functioning human definitely makes being able to play twice in a week or twice in 2 days much easier. Much,
yeah.
much, much easier.
Which as we know, the more you play, the more you practice. If the practice and play is structured well, it should result in you getting better and shooting lower scores and dropping your handicap, right?
Yeah, you've got to play, right? Like
Yeah,
if we want to get better, we're going to have to play. And I think, yeah, obviously good structure is important, but even if you're not structuring it well, doing more of it generally will be
yeah.
playing more. Generally, you'll improve. And I think giving people the opportunity to play more, and we're saying for reducing your handicap, but just actually enjoying the game. Like
That's what
you want to
I
play
was
this
just.
game, like being able to go out twice on a weekend if that's the time you play, or being able to go on a golf trip, and play 3 or 4 rounds in 3 days. Like people,
I've,
unless they've got a
I've had
buggy or they're struggling, like it's a huge part of it, huge part of the sport that we play.
100%. I've had quite a few clients come to me before golf trips for that reason. So just thinking that knowing that they're not gonna be able to cope with what's coming up, and they're saying, right, I need to do this now. I need to be able to actually play 3 days in a row because I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it. I don't know how if my body's gonna hold up to it. But the enjoyment thing there, like for me, that's one of the biggest things that's so enjoyable about our job is we all love playing golf, we all love practicing everything. Like giving someone the ability to do more of the thing they love is fantastic. It's brilliant,
100%.
right? It's what we like to see.
Yeah, I think also, yeah, 100%. And I think giving them the options as well. Like, for example, there's a guy that I see here at the studio, and he can only play 9 holes because his body doesn't let him. And one of his aspirations is to be able to play 18 holes. Once he can play 18 holes, then his next aspiration is to be able to walk 9. And then his aspiration of that is to be able to walk 18 holes, right? Because there's some
Yeah,
golf courses that he go to that don't have buggies. He can't play golf in the winter, and he can't do all these things. So just being able to play and practice more is 100% a benefit. And again, like I know quite a few golfers. Again, probably I put in this category that even they can go to the driving range often, but they can't play the golf because it's the walking that gets them. They,
yeah,
they don't do enough steps throughout the week. Spend most of their time sat down. Then they try and walk 18 holes, bit of a hilly course, and suddenly they ache so much the next day that they can't play. So it's not even just about being able to swing the golf club that many times.
no,
It's also
no.
the whole demand of the sport, which is you needing to be on your feet walking for 4 hours and swinging a golf club and maybe carrying a bag while you do that. Like it can take a stop.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, 100%. Right, should we move on to number two, Jay? Let's go. You introduce this one.
Yeah, number two is an interesting one because I think we've thrown a lot of things into one category here with number two.
Yeah,
But let's categorize it in the fact that from what we believe and from what we've seen, becoming stronger, becoming more athletic, becoming more stable, becoming more mobile, ultimately allows you to be able to create a better golf swing. There's a
yeah,
lot of I've seen it a lot in people. TPI talk a lot about it. I've seen it in multiple golfers. The better you are with your physical capabilities, the better chance you have of delivering a good golf swing.
yeah,
And whether we're talking about minimizing poor swing characteristics, whether we're talking about being able to hit different shots, move the balls different ways by being athletic and being able to move your body in different ways that it needs to perform. Ultimately, the stronger, fitter, more mobile, more stable, more powerful you are, the better chance you have of creating a good golf swing and a more
yeah.
consistent golf swing and a more efficient golf swing.
100%. The better you are at moving your body and understanding where your body is in space and time, whether that's done through ballistic training or plyometrics or wherever that is, the better you are at doing that, the better you are going to be at swinging the club, right? Once we add some strength work in there and mobility work as well, then hopefully you potentially for some guys that have got tight shoulders or not much rotation in their spine by doing the right strength work, the right mobility work, we're increasing that range of motion. Hopefully we're increasing the swing, getting that slightly more stable and things like that. Being able to use the floor is a massive one I see with a lot of my clients. Not understanding where the power comes from the swing and actually really trying to use the feet is what unlocks so much distance, but also just stability with whether you're in bunkers or uphill lies, downhill lies, all these weird positions that golf puts us in, right? The more stable you are in all these different conditions, it's gonna help with your swing.
It's a great point there. So I had a conversation with a golf coach once who was saying that we were talking about like the effects of the body on the golf swing, and we both agreed that we thought that people in a neutral environment like the driving range can quite easily find ways around their limitations. So if you've got tight hips, tight shoulders, not much rotation, you can find ways around it. You can kind of work out what you need to do to get club face on ball and actually deliver good metrics to hit a decent golf shot. Problem is when you then throw that person into a wild environment of wind and uphill lie, downhill lie, unstable stance, 1 foot in a bunker, 1 foot out of a
Yeah,
bunker,
yeah,
needing to duck under a tree. Like suddenly, then if you're not very athletic, you're gone. You're done. You're
yeah,
finished. Like
yeah,
you don't have any flexibility, any flexibility in your range, not necessarily like actual flexibility, but like you don't have the ability to adapt as
yeah,
well as someone who is very athletic. And I
yeah,
think I like the word athletic because it means that we're making this into a much more of a sport that's more reactive. Where
yeah,
actually with golf we always deem it a little bit not a reactive sport, but in situations you do need to adapt, and the more athletic you are, the better you do that, in my
100%. Yeah,
opinion.
100. Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. I think we had it last week when we played together. I was stuck just under by a tree and had to have this like super flat swing, which for me, coming in quite steep, was really difficult. But I'm like, most people aren't going to be able to adapt and change that and have that rotation because we train through all three planes of motion and get moving and add these like funky routines into some of our workouts. We're able to draw from those experiences out onto the golf course. It's what I like to experiment a lot with clients, is put them in funky lunges, funky squats, weird things like that, because you never know how it's going to come up on the golf course. But if you can draw from some sort of experience in the gym, take that onto the course, perfect. What we want.
Yeah, I think like an example of trying to think of an example for me for this weekend, like having to hit a shot with your feet half in a bunker, like literally your toes
Yeah,
gripping onto a bit of ground with your heels over the back of the end of the bunker. Like you need some strength and stability to be able to maintain that shot. And although we're
yeah,
saying, what are the chances if you end up in that situation, you're not exactly going to start doing exercises specifically for that. But if
yeah.
you
Calf,
are,
calf raises out of bunker.
yeah, exactly, yeah, it's not going to happen. Right? But if you are generally athletic and generally adaptive, then
Yeah,
all of these situations have solutions that you can find, and you just increase your toolkit of
yeah.
solutions for different problems.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that brings us really nicely onto the next one, which would be distance. We've obviously spoken about this into our podcasts on power and club head speed and things like that, and how we know that typically the further you hit the ball, the lower your handicap can become, or you give yourself the opportunity to lower your handicap. One thing through training that we've both seen, that we've both had tons of experience with working with clients, is we know that we can increase club head speed, which translates quite well over to increasing distance.
Yeah, we're giving people the opportunity to hit the ball further, right? We spoke about this
Yeah,
in our club head speed thing. It's not guaranteed you're going to hit the ball further. There's many metrics that make a difference to that, but you're giving yourself the opportunity to hit the ball further. And I think what I like with being more powerful is it definitely improves your sequencing. There's a lot of
yes,
movements you can do that, throws and jumps and slams and different things you can do that make you more powerful. The way that you develop more power is by moving more efficiently and by
yeah,
sequencing your body in the correct way. And that's how we can transfer across into better goal swings, right? Like generally better goal swings are more efficient goal swings.
yeah,
And I do believe that if you are more powerful, you have the ability to generate force in the right way.
yeah,
um,
yeah. One hundred
you see
percent
a
agree
big
with that.
transfer across into golf from people that play sports that are power-based sports that need a lot of powerful rotation. You see a lot of baseball,
Yeah,
transfer, a lot of cricket transfer, and the skills of being able to generate power through the body from the floor are very, very similar. Obviously, just a few changes depending on what tool you're using
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
deliver.
Absolutely, absolutely agree there. And the stuff with distance and the power stuff as well. Actually, no, I'm going to hold on to that because that's going to bring us on to the next one. I'm getting carried away. I'm getting carried away there. But no, the
Wait, go
distance stuff.
ahead.
No, because it's our next couple of points. Distance stuff is great. Is great. Like I've got a 60-year-old at the moment who started swinging his driver when he was with me about 90 miles an hour. He's now up to like 110 was his max output in the studio.
That's quality.
It's just like bonkers, man. Like absolutely bonkers. He turned around, did it, saw the radar and said, "Is that good?" I was like, "Steve, I've got clients in their 30s that want to swing it that quickly. It's insane. Absolutely
Brilliant.
insane." But
I
that
think also,
massively go on.
I was going to say what it also does when you get this type of training in, like power training and even speed training to a degree, comes into this. I've seen. We've actually just finished a course that I did with Relentless, the speed stick company, and we saw that people's golf swings definitely changed simply by them delivering like speed swings and power
Yeah.
swings. They definitely
Repetition.
moved differently, and I want to dig into it more. Like we're going to try and do a little bit more research in the next couple of months, and we're going to try and get some more people to do a similar protocol to try and dig deeper into the results. But we definitely saw that when people were given certain drills like step swings or heel up swings or slow back swings and then fast down swings, it definitely changed the way that they moved. And
Yeah.
that way that they moved obviously allowed them to generate more speed. That was their purpose at the time. But they all fed back that they noticed changes in their golf swing. They all noticed changes, obviously in distance because they were swinging it faster. But a lot of them said that they made them more accurate. And I saw some research from Super Speed a while ago, and they were claiming that that it improved accuracy and it improved whatever, and I didn't believe it, if I'm honest. But I definitely think there's something in the fact that when you get people to swing fast and get people to move athletically, it
Mhm.
definitely allows people to free up a little bit,
Yeah.
and I think it definitely allows people to become more athletic. And I know I
Mm.
mentioned this in the previous one, but this is very closely linked to distance,
Yeah.
because I think it's a good way to unlock athleticism. And I don't think we're there yet in the research. I don't think we fully understand what happens
It's it's
when
it's
you get
hard
people
it's hard to
faster.
do, right? It's hard to do, but I see it a lot with clients who are just like say just doing strength training. Typically, as you let's say a squat, right? As you squat more and more and more, your body becomes efficient at that task. So it
Yeah,
might not actually be that the muscles have got bigger or stronger or the tendons and ligaments are helping out. The body has just kind of done the sequencing better. It just goes right. I
yeah,
know now. You've got the skill better.
yeah. No wasted
That's what
energy, right?
that's
Yeah,
what the
efficient.
repetitions that's what the repetitions help with. The speed stuff's really interesting because yeah, the research isn't quite there for accuracy, but I definitely, from what I've spoken to with clients and myself, feel like it helps unlock your sequencing slightly better through that. If you're making better contact, you're going to be a bit more accurate, right?
Yeah, the problem comes when you try and hit it harder. This is
Yeah.
the issue, right? This is my issue with speed training: is speed training and hitting the ball harder on the golf course are two completely different things.
Yes. Yes, and
And
they get mixed up a lot.
exactly. And if you try and hit, we're talking here about 5 things that are going to help lower your handicap. If you want to increase your handicap, go on the golf course and try and hit the ball as hard as you can every single time. It doesn't work, right? Like
No.
you're going to lose a lot of balls and you're going to score terribly.
Yeah.
But if you're doing sequencing work, if you're doing speed training, if you're doing power training, if you're doing all these things away from the golf course, the application that you then make on into the golf swing with that training, I have seen it with enough people now for me to believe that there is a decent carry across to
Yeah.
way that you sequence in your body. I'm going to use that word like specifically the way that you sequence, and there is enough evidence to say that correct sequencing in the golf swing is one of the huge powering factors of
Distance.
delivering
Yeah.
a good golf. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
delivering a
Yeah.
good golf swing, efficient golf
Yeah.
swing, and obviously then relating across the
Translating
distance. So
across. Yeah.
um, there's huge carry across, and
Yeah.
obviously we've not even dived into the fact of the classic strokes gained argument of hitting the ball further and lower scores and all that stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, it's a really interesting concept. But I do believe that doing some speed training, doing some power training, and being able to swing the golf club faster will allow you to lower your handicap. I do believe
Yeah,
that. I do believe
100% agreed. And if you guys are scared to do the speed stuff or all power stuff, like I've seen it enough with clients that going from doing no strength training at all to just doing some, you'll get quicker as well. Like it's just doing some standard strength training, you will get quicker without even really pushing that
Yeah, so
envelope.
yeah, a valid point, right? So we're not even saying that this distance and increased speed needs to come from speed training. This can
No,
come
it
from
could come
strength
with
training,
just
it can come from
normal strength
mobility,
training,
it can
normal
come
just
from being able to use the ground
hypertrophy.
better, like you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right, moving on. Point 4. How can we reduce our handicap? Fatigue. Really interesting one here. Um, Probably one that doesn't come up too much, but then you get chatting to clients, and it actually then becomes, oh, maybe this is a limited factor to stopping me shooting my best scores.
Yeah.
We touched on it a little bit with playing more and not being able to kind of walk through a course, or the example you gave there with your client. Like it's massively important. If you're huffing and puffing your way round, mentally you're not going to be focused on the shot. You're not giving yourself the best physical chance to deliver the club, deliver the shot that you want to hit in the best way possible.
Yeah. I have this categorized in my head, and I always I struggle to do this. I understand it in my head. Let me try and get it out. So I think there's two factors for fatigue. Um, and each factor then can get divided down, right? I think we have one factor of you being able to walk around the golf course.
Yes.
Like that is a fatiguing factor. And then there's another factor of being able to swing the golf club to the correct speed, sequencing, power for the amount of time that you need to, however many times you need to swing it, right? So there's two separate things. I generally find that the second one isn't too much of a problem with people because they
Yeah.
probably go to the driving range and hit 100 balls at the driving range and don't have too much of an issue. The first one's the biggest problem, I believe. And I think the first one can then be categorized down into actual fatigue, so
Mm.
you're tired, and also mental fatigue,
Yeah,
right? Those two things. I believe the mental fatigue has the bigger effect on scoring,
absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
but I believe that the physical fatigue causes the mental fatigue.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
So, does that make sense so far? So,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
then we think,
absolutely.
okay, so how do we solve this? Well, one, I think we improve our physical capabilities. So obviously we become fitter. I think just walking a lot during the week solves that problem.
Moving
If you
more,
do
yep,
10,000 steps a day, you're probably all right to walk around a golf course. And the biggest one that doesn't get mentioned enough is the food, like food and
yep,
drink. If you keep fueled, if you eat and drink enough on the way around, you probably won't feel that tired.
yep.
There's no like metabolic strain of walking around a golf course necessarily. So really, as long as you're fueled, you should be all right. Um,
Field and rested, yep, absolutely
yeah.
agree with that. Absolutely agree with that.
So it's an interesting one with like fatigue because I don't. We've spoken about this before. I don't program like cardio
Yeah.
for golf. Like I think that is pointless. I don't think people can use their time better. But I would definitely say that people need to be increasing their step count throughout the
Yes.
week. That is
Moving,
going to be
just
key.
moving more, yeah, yeah,
Exactly. And when people say to me, "Oh, sometimes I feel tired from the rain," like the best thing you can do is play more. This comes back to number one. The more golf you play, the easier it is.
yeah,
100%.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you wanna get less tired playing golf, play more golf, you'll
Yeah,
get less tired.
100%.
It's one of those things where you shouldn't really take it out so far and isolate it and go, "Right, how can I get better at doing this? Do I need to be doing cardio?" Like, doing your zone 3 cardio or whatever these people are calling it nowadays is not gonna help you walking 4.5 hours around a golf course, whatever that might be. They're not related at all.
Well,
Let's
especially the
keep
amount of
it
time you're going to have to do it, right? If you're working in that low
yeah,
intensity, you have to do it for so long. Like, just come
yeah.
practice.
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep it as specific as possible. You wanna get fitter walking around a golf course, do it more. Just walk more.
Yeah, 100% agree. And again, like I'm going to go on a bit of tangent to bring it back because we're saying that becoming goal fit is going to help lower your handicap. That is a holistic viewpoint of being fit enough to play golf. And being fit enough to play golf is not just about the golf swing. And the golf swing is the fun bit, right? That's where people can give you really fun content and interesting information and keep you engaged. Unfortunately, if you can't walk around a golf course, Tiger Woods, there you go, there's your best example.
There we go. Best one of the best players in the world. Yeah, yeah,
Dude, if he could stand on the driving range, he'd fancy himself as
yeah.
one of the best in the world still.
Put him
Can't
in a
walk around.
buggy. Put him in a buggy. He's probably winning a lot,
Yep.
but
Bet there's
he's
many
not.
other people that were in that same category.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, 100%. The mental fatigue. Just want to touch on that quickly. I do 100% believe that they're linked. Obviously, we know that there's tons of studies that show that. I do think that and for a few of my, I kind of see it a lot with my younger clients actually, the not being able to focus, not being able to visualize. Typically, these are guys that are just hitting 100 ball on the range in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, like just super, 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 super. It's not my or our area of specialties at all. But having spoken to a lot of kind of performance coaches and practice coaches out there, like I do try to push clients to really take their time, really visualize each ball, take a different target, slow that stuff down. So then on the course, you're actually increasing your chances of focusing a little bit more. I think in society now we're so quick paced with TikTok and social media and everything's now. Actually, golf, we know the best you play is when you're really slowing it down, like really focusing. Like, so it's something I do speak a little bit with clients. However, it doesn't matter. They're not going to be able to mentally focus if physically they're tired.
Yeah, and I think the key thing with focus, well, one of the biggest misconceptions, I suppose, is that you're going to have to try and focus for 4 hours for the whole round of golf, right? It's not going to happen. It's impossible. So what you need to do is you need to be able to switch on and off and have
Yes.
triggers to switch on and off.
Yeah.
And I use this example, actually, literally just used it this morning, is you can use your training as your opportunity to do that. Your rest period while you're training is like you walking down the fairway. You can chat to
Yeah.
your friends, you can check your phone if you want, do whatever you want to do. But then you need a moment to say, right, bang, click. Now I'm in zone and now I'm focusing on this task that needs to be performed, which is this set, this shot, this whatever it is. You execute to your best ability and then you're able to
Yeah.
switch off again. And that
Yeah.
ability to turn on it on and off is what the best can do, and it's what stops you burning out, basically. In and that that skill can be practiced.
100%. Yeah.
meditation, in the gym. That skill can be practiced, and I do believe that there's a huge benefit to practicing this away from the golf course and improving your ability to turn on and off, which will help with mental fatigue. I do fully believe
Yeah.
that.
100%, which will in turn hopefully allow you to shoot better scores and lower your handicap, which is what we want.
Agreed. Number five.
Perfect. Number 5, Joe. What we got?
Well, we had to talk about this beforehand, and we were thinking what would number five be, and we felt like this maybe was linked to number one, but I think it needs its own separate category, so I think it's very important. So we're going to go with injury prevention, avoiding injuries, and I suppose also rehabilitation from
I
injuries
was about to say, yeah,
is
100%.
key, right? Or minimizing the severity of the injury. So there's nothing worse for your game than having to not play for like 3 or 4 months, right? Like that's gonna hurt a lot. So the more that we can keep people on the golf course, avoid long periods away from the golf course, is going to be hugely beneficial. What are some ways we can do that? Being stronger, being fitter, being more mobile, being more stable is going to avoid your likelihood of picking up an injury. It's going to avoid your likelihood of picking up golf-related injuries, but it's also going to avoid your likelihood of picking up random injuries. The amount of clients I speak to that had their back picking their kid up off the floor or lifting something out the boot of the car. It's always something stupid, right? So us being more resilient to life and more resilient to golf is going to avoid our likelihood of picking up injuries.
Yep, 100%.
Period.
I think the stats, I think TPI put out, I think it's 80% of golf injuries are overuse injuries, right? So
Yeah.
it's swing injuries essentially. The stronger we can get our bodies, we're more resilient to that. We're going to be less injured, playing more, which then goes back to our other one, which means hopefully playing more, practicing more, we're reducing those handicaps, right?
It's interesting that with those injuries, because I would say that a lot of people with those types of injuries, it's not like a I'm okay and now I'm injured situation. It's
No,
more like things gradually get worse.
yeah,
Backs, knees, elbows, they kind of gradually get worse, and
yeah,
people try to manage them by taking tablets or taking a couple of days off or doing whatever, but they never
yeah,
actually fix the problem.
no,
So again, that's kind of a category of like pain, people in pain, but then also another injury of like I've done my back in and now I can't play
yeah,
for 3 months, or I've torn my whatever and now I can't play for 3 months. And I think this helps with both, really.
100%, yeah, 100%. The more training you're doing, the more good training you're doing. Anyway, I'll caveat that one. The studies have shown like is massive. I think I saw this was for professional athletes. I think it was the ability to back squat 2 times your body weight. I think these people were in the top 1 percentile of not getting injured. So this was professional athletes across American football, soccer because it was an American study, so normal football, baseball. Um,
You've walked me
the
into it, Sam. I've taken the bait.
taking the bait, yeah, it was.
Are we saying that these people are becoming less injured because they can squat 2 times their body weight, or are we saying that people that can squat 2 times their body weight look after their bodies in a way that means they don't get injured?
Well, this is the thing, right? Is it correlation, causation, or the other way around? Right?
Yeah.
It's either
Ice
or.
cream gives you sunburn.
There we go. There we go. Right.
We take
But
100 people with sunburn and say, "What did you eat today?"
yeah, but we know the more you train, the stronger you get, the stronger your ligaments, your tendons get. If we're relating it a bit more to the golf swing, right? We know the more mass we have, the more the forces get absorbed and taken out of our discs, out of our vertebrae, things like that is really really important. Um, typically the quicker we are, the better we are at decelerating, which is a massive part of what causes injuries as well. It's not actually the ability to swing quickly that injures people. It's typically the inability to slow down your swing, to slow down your chain from overgoing, and that's what makes us injured, right? So we know
Yeah,
that by adding some more rotation into our training, whether that's cables or banded or anti-rotation stuff or just big compound lifts, we know that you're going to become more resilient to those injuries.
100%. A big one for me is pulling strength, which is something you don't consider in a golf swing. But if you think when you swing something, it's basically the way that the physics works. That thing is getting pulled away from your body. So that
Yeah,
golf club becomes very, very heavy when it's being swung 100 mile an hour and it's moving away from your body. And your ability to resist against that tugging
yeah,
force is very key, especially for like mid back little strains and pulls. I think that's really important.
absolutely. Absolutely.
If anyone's ever done like a really, really hard speed session, feel how your body feels after that, and that tells you which muscles are decelerating that club.
Yeah.
Like where you ache after a heavy, heavy speed session is generally those areas that are doing the deceleration.
Yeah.
An extra point on this, because I get this conversation a lot with people, and I get it's an old way of thinking that's still definitely stuck around. People believe that, especially in sports, that the people that train are the ones that get injured. So people believe, oh well, what do you expect lifting all those weights? Of course, he's hurt himself.
Oh, I mean, we saw it with Bryson, right? We saw it recently. Yeah, all the stick Bryson got. Yeah, yeah,
Many people over in the past, right? Look at John Daly. Like he's never got hurt. He's never got hurt. Like, yeah, okay, fine. However, like it, if you are more resilient to that sport, you're in a better position.
100%,
Period.
100%. I
Yeah.
just the like the data on it is just it's just countless. Like training makes you more resilient to injuries. It's just what it is. Um, you could apply it pretty much to any golfer now on tour. Like they're all in the gym, they're all training. So you just can't say it's like we just said, ice cream makes you fat. You can't just say because Rory McIlroy deadlifts, oh he's hurt his back. Like it's not how it goes at all. Like I just said, the stats are 80% of the injuries that golfers have is from golf overuse. It's not from in the gym.
Yeah. And I think you hear the same about football, don't you? People say the same about footballers. They're saying, "Oh, footballers get injured all the time now." And back in the day, they used to just go in the pub and then come out and then play, and they never used to get injured. Never used to have any subs. You just always just have 11 players. They used to play. But like, you just can't compare
No.
like
The
old
sport,
thinking
golf
to what we now
especially now.
understand is just it's 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 a battle I still sometimes have with people, but I think also understanding that if you are, I don't know, let's say for example you're in your 50s and you've never trained and you play golf once a week and you want to get better, then it's probably not sensible to go in the gym and start training as hard as you possibly can 5 days a
No, no,
week
no, no.
and blitzing it. You probably will get hurt, but
Yeah, absolutely.
that's not
Absolutely.
the problem. Isn't
The
that you're going
training.
to be training, right? The
Yeah.
problem, the problem is like the variation of that training.
Yeah, 100%. It's what you see a lot with golfers coming into the start of the season, right? Typically, you haven't been hitting that many balls, and then all of a sudden you're out playing 2, 3, 4 times a week with practice sessions in between. It's the increase of volume, not over a steady time, that typically is what's going to get you injured.
Yeah. Wrist and
Um,
elbow injuries in the winter, big
yeah,
because people hit on the mats.
mass,
Go down
absolutely.
those mats, smash the mats, kill
Yeah,
your wrist.
yeah,
Um, it's normal. So I think just understanding that becoming fitter, becoming stronger, becoming more mobile, becoming more stable will help you avoid picking up these annoying injuries that are going to sideline you for weeks or months.
yep. Which translates to playing more golf, which should lead to your handicap getting lower and lower and lower.
There we go.
There we go. There we
Make
go.
a full
Right.
circle.
So, do a little summary from 1 to 5. So, number one, play more. The ability to practice and perform more. We know the more training you're doing outside of the gym, outside of the course, sorry, you should be able to play practice as much as you want. We're not saying that happens overnight, like we just said there with that example. Take your time, build up the volume, but after, depending on who it is, after a good amount of time, you should be able to play and practice as much as you want.
Agreed.
Number two, better swing. Summarize this one for us, Joe.
Basically, the more athletic you are, the fitter, stronger, more mobile, more stable you are. The more athletic you are, the better opportunity you have of producing a good, efficient, consistent, effective, well sequenced golf swing. And also, the more adaptive you'll be to different scenarios, different situations, different environments that are going to need you to move away from your traditional stock
Uh,
positions and shots.
yeah, absolutely. Distance. Number three, being able to hit the ball further. We know that typically the more powerful, the more muscle mass, the more power speed training you're doing, you're going to give yourself the best chance of hitting the ball further. We know from all the stats, the further you hit the ball, typically you're going to give yourself the chance to shoot lower scores.
Yep. Number four, fatigue. Being able to have a better resilience to be able to play golf. So having the level of being able to walk for the amount of distance that you're going to need to walk for playing a round of golf, and also being able to have the resilience to swing the golf club in the amount of times you're going to need to throughout that round to your full power, and also the ability to fend off mental fatigue and peripheral fatigue as well through correct nutrition, correct understanding of your body, and not allowing your performance levels to drop towards the end of the round.
Absolutely. Finally, number 5, injuries. The fitter you are, the stronger you are. You'll be allowing yourself to become more resilient to injuries. And if you do get injured, you're giving yourself the best chance to recover quicker.
100%. Boom. What are you
Awesome.
waiting for, guys? This is just an absolute gift to start
There
learning
we
your
go.
handicap, right? Oh,
There we go. And just to kind of tie it off, it's not like you need to kind of focus on any of these things, guys. Like you shouldn't really go out for right. I want to get a better swing. Let me get in the gym. Have a really good, solid training plan that includes some mobility, some rolling, some strength work. All of these things will look after themselves. You don't need to target them. You don't really need to say, right, I want to get injured less. Let me do this. Just follow a training plan that fits into your lifestyle, that you like doing, that you're going to commit to doing, and all of these things will look after themselves.
yeah, and it's obviously one part of the process, right? We still need to also be looking after our all the other aspects that go into lowering your handicap, course management. Obviously, there's going to be some swing work being done in there, nutrition. There's going to be a million other things that are going to help you lower your handicap. We just believe this is one we can assist with the most, and one
Yeah,
that we believe is probably underutilized.
100% is one we've seen over our years and years and years of working with clients, that this is the, for a lot of clients, low hanging fruit. A lot of things that haven't done a lot of physical training and stuff. We know that quite quickly we can see some really positive results in all of these things.
Agreed.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, guys. This has been another episode of the Macro Growth Podcast. Joe, where can they find you?
Yeah, can you hit me up at Joe underscore macro golf on Instagram.
Perfect. And I'm at Sam underscore macro golf on Instagram as well. We've got some really exciting things coming down the line, guys. Sorry, we've kind of taken a few weeks off. It's been crazy our ends getting the app, website, everything up and running. But we're really confident that you guys are going to love it once it's all done.
Yeah, it's going to be worth it. We took a couple of weeks off to put our focus on the business and what we're developing, but we're very, very confident that this is going to be worth the wait. And yeah, we're almost there now. Hopefully, I think
Boom.
maybe in the next podcast we might have some news for people.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, yeah,
Sweet.
almost there. Guys, take care and see you on the next episode.
Peace.